Okay, here we go. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. It's Monday night. You're live. It's February 4th. This is SherryTalkRadio. If you have a question for the show, you can send it into SherryTalkRadio@yahoo.com. Probably spend a lot of time answering questions tonight because I know I haven't really been in touch with listeners last several weeks. I've just more or less been going over material that I have, not wanting distracted. And so tonight's just going to be kind of laid back. I'm going to tell you some of the things I've been finding, building upon things I've been seeing already, and answering questions. And so if you have a question, just shoot it over to SherryTalkRadio@yahoo.com. And like I've said, the Bible codes have been really interesting because the Bible codes are almost looking at things happening in real time. I'm seeing things in the codes that were like yesterday or are going to be next week. What's really funny is when I see something in the codes that I'm going to talk about and I haven't talked about it yet. It's like, oh, I'm supposed to mention that? That was funny. And they're just real time, folks, and so it's really fascinating. Some of the things coming that I don't know, they get people distracted. They want you worrying about the wrong kinds of things, and the elf god gets pumping all over the internet. Just remember, folks, that the Lord doesn't give dates. The Lord's not a date giver. He doesn't live in linear time. And so you always know when the elf god's pumping out false prophecies and visions. He loves the Pentecostal crowd. And because they give dates and they give all this stuff, and the Lord doesn't give dates. One way of telling if you're listening from the Most High or if you're being elfed, and elf attacks your head, and that's why the Lord speaks to your heart, and that's why you always got to test your spirits or even test technology. Where is this voice coming from? Is it my head or is it my spirit? Because the elf god always attacks your head. I remember last year or something like that, someone gave me a link to True News or something. I think it was True News. And he's a Pentecostal, and he's going, the Holy Spirit told me this, he spoke to my mind, and as soon as he said that, it was like, click, I was out of there. The Lord does not speak to your head. And so, just a heads up, because a lot of deceptions are coming, and none of us are immune to falling for any of them. They'd have to be really, really good, actually, for some of us. But the good thing about deception is that you never know you're in it, or it's a bad thing about it. And that's why you have to pray every day and ask the Lord to reveal the truth in all things. That way He can get rid of all the errors that you're holding, that you've always held on to thinking they're the truth. And we all go through that. It's a process. You get rid of all the junk. You learn how to chew the grass and spit out the hay, and you have to learn what that hay is. And so it's a process, and one that you're in every day, and it's a journey of truth-seeking, and just one we embark because we love the Lord. I don't know how many times I've heard from church-dumb people who already know everything. And I get real aggravated just dealing with the church crowd. I can't even deal with them anymore. It just aggravates me to no end. I'd rather deal with pagans, witches, and atheists than the church crowd. I'm going to get myself in trouble. I better watch what I say. And so that's just the kind of heart to have, folks, that you want the truth, you want it from the Lord, and that you don't know everything already. We're always we're teachable, we're learnable, we're His warriors. We can be led by Him. Some of the things I've been seeing lately, and this is stuff I've talked about before. One of the things I noticed was because last week after the debate, I was watching that Hillary and Obama debate on CNN, and something I had seen in the codes in regards to Obama was that he was a snorter. And so I'm looking at this lizard on TV thing, and cocaine didn't come up in the codes. I don't know what he's snorting, but he's a snorter. Maybe it would in a different code. If I switched to a different code on Obama or something, it would come up exactly what he's snorting. But what do lizards snort, So I was trying to figure that one out. I know I snort when I laugh, but maybe that's what it is. Maybe he snorts when he laughs. I don't know. But it also refers to him as a hot-tempered southpaw. So I thought that was funny that the Hebrews would even have southpaw in the codes because I know here in America we refer to southpaws as left-handed. And it was one of the things my husband pointed out. He goes, oh, look, Obama's left-handed and Hillary Clinton's right-handed. And sure enough, the next day I saw that in the codes, hot-tempered southpaw. So I thought that was funny. I was looking at a code for Tutatis. And last week I was talking about my article on Planet X, Sedna and Tutatis. And Sedna is the moon that follows behind Planet X. And Tutatis is this kind of weird-shaped object in the skies. I mentioned it last week a little bit. And And this is coming back. This was kind of in the skies a couple years ago, if you guys remember it, that guy from Australia warning everybody about this object in the sky. And it's coming back in 2009, this thing. And I don't know if they're going to call it Tutatis or what they're going to call this thing. They tend to just give you satellites numbers and names and hide it from the general public. But what's interesting is that, and I've said this a million times, these objects in space are carriers. Or they're either carriers themselves, because all of them are hollow, and so they all contain Satan's forces inside, these alien beings inside them, whether they be the humanoid the humanoid giant kind. The Bible codes, hutch is one of the terms that referring to these beings, hutch being like a tall dresser, a tall boy, whatever, and that's one of these terms you can find. I don't know if it's carrying that, all of that, or if it's gonna, they're piggybacking this thing to get close to our atmosphere. But either way, this Tutatis is carrying a leader, and he's a king, also noted as a mobster, also noted as emerging, and also noted as a destroyer. And so, one other instance in the Bible that I can think of as being a destroyer is Apollo and Abaddon. Revelation chapter 9. It's the leader of the 200 million that come out of the abyss. And so interesting that Tutatis is the ride, the carrier for this destroyer, this king. Revelation chapter 9 describes the angel falling from heaven and unleashing the bottomless pit, or in the Euphrates, and the locusts come out. And I've said, watch for Maitreya's arrival, because the locusts are going to be part of his forces. This whole 200 million army that the churches call the Asian army, I don't know where they get that. It's not the Chinese. But this 200 million alien army is part of Jesus's, ensemble. His ensemble, his whole angelic host thing. But these 200 million are going to be here when Jesus is on the earth, and that Jesus is this the mimicry of God's Son, Yahushua. That's why I've stressed the importance over the years of calling him by his real name, Yahushua, so you don't fall into the trap of, oh, that's Jesus. I'm worshiping Jesus. I'm following Jesus. Look, Jesus is on the earth. Look, Benny Hinn's touting Jesus. Benny Hinn is going to tout Jesus, because he doesn't tout the real Son of God, Yahushua. He promotes this demon Jesus, this demon that's coming in, and he's been talking about it for years. If you listen to Benny Hinn, he'll be like, oh, Jesus is going to appear on the stage with me in Nairobi or whatever, and probably totally believes it and expects it to happen, and then it doesn't happen. But it's funny, because sooner or later, and I've always said, Benny Hinn is the mouthpiece for Satan. He's a dominant mouthpiece for Satan, and so you got to watch out for his charades and antics and everything. And that's why we were targeting him, having so much fun last year with the orgone. Every time we got a hold of his schedule, and every time he went somewhere, we would try to get warriors out there to orgone the place before he arrived, or if they could, show up with orgone and sit in the audience. And the results were hysterical. The results being that he has no power. When you sit there with this positive energy orgone, evil can't operate around it, and they won't even come into the building with it. And so he sits there endlessly going